9999 or cell 0711 099 999 or email us through callcenter@kra.go.ke. You can also access our self-service menu by calling us and pressing 1 for password reset, 2 for PIN retrieval, or 3 to unlock your account. Remember to file your returns before 30th June deadline. Submit them now to avoid the last-minute rush. KRA, tulipe ushuru tujitegemee. Are you looking to file your income tax return for other types of income apart from employment, e.g., business, farming, rental, if the rent was not declared under the monthly rental income regime, interest whose withholding tax is not final, commission, and other incomes whose tax paid or deducted at source is not final? The taxpayer will be required to have prepared a schedule of their income chargeable to tax and allowable expenses incurred wholly to generate this taxable income. Those with audited accounts can use them to file the return. For individuals, it is not mandatory to have your accounts or books audited by an external auditor. We've made this process seamless for you. Go to the itax portal on itax.kra.go.ke. Enter your PIN. Click Continue. Enter password and the security stamp, which is the answer to the arithmetic, and log in. Once you log in, update the Wondering how to file nil returns with no taxable income? It's pretty simple. Go to the itax portal on itax.kra.go.ke. Enter your PIN, click Continue, and enter your password. If you do not remember your password, click on Forgot Password /unlock account and the security stamp, which is the answer to the arithmetic. Click Submit and the password will be sent to your registered email address. Once you log in, update the professional details and go to the Returns menu. File Nil Return. Select the tax obligation and click Next. Enter the return period from and return period to will be populated. Click on the Submit button. Download the returns receipt. If you have ever filed an IT1 return in itax before, then you can file a subsequent nil return through our itax mobile app using an Android device, which can be downloaded on the Google Play Store. After the download, log in with your PIN and itax password, which you must have logged in before through the itax portal. Click on File Nil Return, select Resident or Non-Resident Individual where applicable, and submit. For further inquiries, contact us on 020-499-9999 or cell 0711 099 999 or email us through callcenter@kra.go.ke. You can also access our self-service menu by calling us and pressing 1 for password reset, 2 for PIN retrieval, or 3 to unlock your account. Remember to file your returns before 30th June deadline. Submit them now to avoid the last-minute rush. KRA, tulipe ushuru tujitegemee. Tax return for other types of income apart from employment, e.g., business, farming, Here, you will be required to describe the other income or expense which could not have been described and captured in the upper part of the profit and loss account. Once you capture income or expense in this section, remember to capture zeros on the same row for the other fields relating to other sources of income. Go to Sheet C, Balance Sheet, and capture the assets and liabilities as per your schedule or audited accounts. Please remember the balance sheet equation holds where assets equals liabilities plus capital. Fill the details in Sheet D, E where applicable. If you paid installment tax during the year, you will declare the payment slip details, payment registration number, date of deposit, and amount. Fill the other relevant sheets where applicable. Go to the income computation sheet and add back any disallowable expenses claimed in the profit and loss account and also deduct any allowable expenses where applicable. Go to the last sheet, T-tax computation, and capture the details of pension contribution under SR number 11.1, if any, personal relief under SR number 12.6. Confirm that all relevant details of incomes, expenses, credits, and payments have been captured and the correct tax due or refund calculated under SR number 14. Once you have confirmed the tax computation details are matching as per your records and the correct tax due or refund calculated, then validate and generate the upload file. In case of a tax refund, you will be required to fill the bank details on the basic information sheet A before you validate the file. Enter the return period from if filing for the first time, otherwise the return period will pre-populate. Upload form by choosing the zip or upload file which was generated and saved under your documents, agree to the terms and conditions and submit. Download the returns receipt. If there is any tax due to pay, go to the Payments menu and select Payment Registration. Select Tax Head as Income Tax.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Our chief guest is just arriving together with other dignitaries. So may we all rise to welcome the chief guest. Thank you very much. We are going to have the Kenyan national anthem followed quickly by the East African Community anthem and a prayer, two prayers from Jen Nyokabi, who is the Chief Manager Strategy, Chief Manager Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation Strategy Department. And another prayer will be offered by Mr. Mubarak Abdi Mohammed, who is an officer at Kra under the Strategy, Innovation and Risk Management Department. So kindly, let's do the national anthem. Just as we're standing, I will as we stand, permit me to invite General Kabi here on stage. Mr. Mubarak, be on standby.
Let us pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, Almighty and everlasting Father, we come to your throne this morning with thanksgiving and praise for the gift of life. We thank you for our beautiful country and all the citizens and the peace that prevail within our borders. We entrust to you our organization, Kenya Revenue Authority, with all its leadership, staff, and stakeholders, and pray for your continued guidance as we deliver on our mandate for the benefit of our beloved country. We thank you for working with us through the 8th Corporate Plan Development process up to this day of its launch. We commit the day and the event unto you, seeking your guidance. We pray that you may be with us as we embark on its implementation. We pray this through our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and most merciful, praise be to Allah, the Lord of all creations. Guide us to the right path that will lead us to success in this world and in the hereafter. Ya Allah, we thank you for enabling us to reach this important milestone as we today launch our 8th corporate plan. Ya Allah, bless our meeting and bless all those present and those following us virtually. Ya Allah, protect us from the temptations of shaitan, laziness, and the ills of the coronavirus pandemic. Ya Allah, we pray that you grant mercy to our departed colleagues and grant quick recovery to those who are unwell. Ya Allah, you are the best of planners, and as we unveil our 8th corporate plan today, make us among those who trust in your plans. Ya Allah, we seek your favors, blessings, and guidance in all our plans and in our implementation. Help us desire honesty, knowledge, competence, and simplicity in our approach. Ya Allah, grant our leadership, our board, chaired by Ambassador Francis Muthaura, our senior leaders led by our Commissioner General, Mr. Githimburu, and all our senior managers, good health, wisdom, courage, and the right vision to lead us to implement our corporate plan and achieve all our set objectives. Ya Allah, bless our President, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, and all our national leaders, and grant them good health, wisdom, and the strength to deliver on their trust of leadership. O Allah, we humble before your majesty in repentance and invoke thy mighty to bless our country Kenya and its people, grant us peace and prosperity, and bring the hearts of our people together in unity. We pray for abundance within our borders. Amen.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Our chief guest, Honorable Ambassador Ukuri Atani Kanacho, CS National Treasury and Planning, the Chairperson, KRA Board of Directors, Dr. Ambassador Francis Kirimi Muthaura, the Commissioner General, Kenya Revenue Authority, Mr. Githi Mburu, the Commissioner for Strategy, Innovation, and Risk Management at KRA, Dr. Mohammed Omar Mohamud, the KRA board members here present, the National Treasury and KRA leadership here present, the KRA staff fraternity, our esteemed stakeholders here present, and following online, taxpayers, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to KRA's launch of the 8th Corporate Plan. The theme of this plan is thank you. We are strictly observing COVID-19 protocol, as you can see. The theme of this 8th corporate plan is revenue mobilization through tax simplification, technology-driven compliance, and tax-based expansion. There are several speakers that will be coming to expound on this theme and to help us all understand and appreciate it. Our chief guest, the Honorable CS, all protocols observed. This 8th corporate plan has been carefully crafted and designed to enable KRA achieve its tax targets over the next 3 years. We're going to have an exciting 2 hours to, just begin to appreciate and to understand what exactly lies in this corporate plan. My name is Maurice Ongala, and I'm delighted to be your moderator of the day. Our virtual audience who are not here with us, you can follow us online using these social media handles on Twitter at KRA Corporate, Twitter KRA Corporate, on Facebook, Kenya Revenue Authority. On LinkedIn, we are live as Kenya Revenue Authority also. On YouTube, Kenya Revenue Authority. And our official hashtag, which we encourage all of you to use, is Kra 8th Corporate Plan. Kra 8th Corporate Plan. We welcome all the dignitaries here present in the auditorium and those who are following online to feel at home. At this juncture, I would like to invite you to come with me to an exciting video just to appreciate the 7th corporate plan that was implemented just before this plan that we are about to launch today. Because this 8th corporate plan is not a truncated document, it is one that stems up from a previous one. So kindly, let's appreciate this video and just see the history or where we were just before we got here. ladies and gentlemen, can you put your hands together for KRA and the KRA staff fraternity for a beautiful job done. And you can see that today we are almost ending the month of June, and we are just in time because the implementation of the 8th corporate plan is set to begin on 1st of July. So this is work well done. You've seen the metrics, the achievements. Automation was 95% in the previous corporate plan, and so on and so forth. At this juncture, Honorable CS, all protocols observed, allow me to bring to you Dr. Mohamed Omar, who is the Commissioner, Strategy, Innovation, and Risk Management. He will give us opening remarks, after which, as the process leader, he will also help us appreciate the process that led into the development of this 8th corporate plan. Karibu, Bwana Commissioner.
Okay, thank you very much. Our chief guest, Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, the Chairman, KRA Board, board members present, Commissioner General, commissioners and other KRA staff, our stakeholders, those ones who are here with us and those joining us through the online link, professionals, industry players, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Okay, first I would like to welcome you to the launch of the 8th plan. As you may have heard, this has been a culmination of a joint up effort between KRA, the stakeholders, professional organizations, government agencies, the ministries. So what we see and what we are going to launch here today is a crystallization of the effort that we did together. So I just want to say that we are grateful that you are able to make it here. And for those who are joining us, thank you very much. Second, I will be giving you the highlights of the 8th corporate plan, which gives us the roadmap on what we are going to do as an authority over the next 3 years. As you know, our planning cycles are 3 years. So the 7th is now coming to an end at the end of June. And from 1st of July, we are going to implement the 8th one. And what we are going to see is what is the kind of objectives, goals, and what we intend to do over the next 3 years to ensure that we are mobilizing revenue on behalf of the government. So I would like, if you can project the highlights, please. Okay, can move to the next one. That is the, so this is the outline of how I'm going to go through it. Most of us know the mandate, but we want to anchor the corporate plan within the context of national development. So the socioeconomic development and the work of KRA is central to the country's development. So the alignment between this 8th corporate plan and both national and international agenda. So agenda items are going to be there. The very focus, what are the key thrusts, the key drivers of the corporate plan, and then some of the assumptions that we are taking, the environment in which KRA will be operating over the next 3 years, and some of the assumptions that we are making about that. And then I'll spend a bit of time at the strategic focus. So what are the key planks of the strategic plan? What are the issues that we feel are very important, the expected outcomes, the financing, and eventually, what is the impact that we expect from this corporate plan in terms of revenue mobilization? So you can go to the next slide. We'll be quick in the introduction. Move on, please. So basically, most of us here know that KRA is the agency that is tasked with the collection of revenue on behalf of the government. So I think that is the key message there, revenue administration. We can go to the next one. Now, we cannot plan without alignment and having harmony with the national development plans. Our key national development plans are the Kenya Vision 2030, the Big Four agenda, but we also, as a country, members of a community of nations, both within Africa as well as globally. So there are a number of SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, that resonate with the work of KRA. For example, the ones that deal with revenue mobilization, economic development, poverty reduction, and also the Africa agenda. So the plan is in line with the international, regional, and national development plans. Next, please. So if we are to look at the key themes and the key focus areas of the corporate plan, number one, and we've been engaging our stakeholders, so tax simplification is a key one. Here, we are referring to both administrative processes, the systems you use, the procedures we use, the way we handle tax administration, as well as the policy and regulatory frameworks. The extent to which those frameworks, the policies, the administrative measures really facilitate and support trade, facilitate taxpayers. The second one, and based on the context in which we are in, the development of technology, a key focal point is the application of modern technology, and we'll be delving a lot into that as I continue. And then thirdly, tax-based expansion to inject equity, fairness, so that we all bear the burden of our fair share of the tax burden. So those are the key planks in terms of the thematic areas. Of course, when you plan, you make a number of assumptions. Number one, it's our assumption that the macroeconomic indicators, as outlined in the budget policy statement, will be there, that there will be enough resources to undertake the tax administration, that there will be no turbulence in terms of politics, and also that we will be able to really optimize and use technology in an optimal manner. So those are some of the assumptions that we are making. These are constant. If they remain, then the kind of output we expect, the impact we expect, is likely to be realized. Now, of course, we work in an environment. We can go to the next slide, please. And we have been, over the last 1 year, dealing with a pandemic, and therefore, this is the context in which we will be working, and we are hoping that there will be recovery during the plan period. There's going to be, informal sector has been a key focus, and we intend to continue doing that so that we bring in more people to be able to pay taxes. Cybersecurity, the issues we deal with, legislation, both customs is legislated by East African Customs Management Act, as well as other enabling legislation. So the external context in which we are going to be delivering the 8th corporate plan is one that bears in mind the following, those factors. Internally, there'll be a lot of trainings and capacity building, the application of technology, integration both within integration of internal systems as well as with external systems, the use of third-party data, strategic partnerships. The idea of tax administration is predicated on working with our stakeholders. So as some of you know, that we normally have structured engagement, and then the issue that we're able to counter any threats. The pandemic has shown us that there's a proliferation of digital transactions. There is a lot of online activities, and therefore cybercrime becomes something to bear in mind. And then I did mention that one of the key driving forces of this strategic plan is tax simplification. So what is the focus? The vision and where we want to get to as an authority is to be a globally trusted revenue agency facilitating both tax and customs compliance. So to get there, as I proceed with the presentation, you will see what we need to do to be able to realize that kind of a vision. You may have seen around all the theme is displayed everywhere, revenue mobilization, through, again, reflecting the themes, simplification, technology, and tax-based expansion. So we are also underpinned by a value system, a KRA value system, which is about being trustworthy, ethical, competent, helpful, and simple. If you remember the 7th corporate plan, the issue of simplicity was not highlighted, and this is a key addition to our core values. Next, please. So I did talk about the drivers, very important. So if you read the corporate plan, this will be a recurring theme throughout the document: technology, partnerships, simplification, tax-based expansion. And then the performance, a culture of performance management, a performance-driven organization. So if we delve into now the goals, the objectives, and the expected strategic outcomes, we use 4 perspectives: the revenue, the customer, the business processes, as well as the people. And I'll spend some time here. Our main goal as an authority is to realize government revenue. So the perspective of revenue revolves around the ability to improve compliance, to achieve the targets, and therefore a 4 key objectives: tax-based expansion, improvement and enhancement of compliance, the issue of application of intelligence and investigation, as well as border management. Each of these will have specific strategies. For instance, I did talk about the micro enterprises and the informal. So the issue of bringing in the counties, the micro enterprises, the informal sector, the use of modern technologies such as the geographical information system to enhance the payment of rental tax will fall under that. The use of profiling intelligence to be able to make sure that we are able to effect tax administration in a fair manner. The use of the consolidation of enforcement units within KRA so that we have a corporate unit that enforces. The use of investigative measures, as well as working with our stakeholders in government as a joined up unit together with the other agencies in terms of border management. So the revenue perspective is all about the achievement of the revenue numbers, which depend on the other perspectives that we shall see. Next is the customer. Again, the realization of the target and the revenue targets depends on the extent to which the customers are satisfied. So the expected outcome here is satisfied customers. And to do that, I talked about tax simplification, both administrative and policy, facilitation of trade. And here I must emphasize we are talking about legitimate trade, facilitation of legitimate trade. In the event that there's contested assessments and as we deal with our taxpayers, tax is sometimes contested. There's the alternative dispute resolution and strengthening that, strengthening the debt function, strengthening the audit function so that it serves the purpose, and as a result you're able to have better customer satisfaction. And brand awareness is about transitioning KRA to Kenya Revenue Service. And not just in branding and name, but the way, the attitudes, the interaction with taxpayers, the way we serve the industry. And that is going to happen during these 3 years. I mentioned the issue of several levels of engagement. So you've got the commissioners conference, the commissioner generals, the board. That will continue so that our customers are able to air their views, interact with us, question, and be able to, together we are able to improve tax administration. So the overarching exceptional customer service and the output or the expected impact is customer satisfaction. The next one is business process. Again, the enabler for both customer perspective and revenue. We can go to the next one, please. Here is about the technology architecture, the utilization of modern technology. Over the 3 years, KRA will be employing the best in technology, machine learning, artificial intelligence, blockchain, because the idea that you want to segment your taxpayers, you're able to serve them based on their needs, so that there's no one size fits all, but you're able to really make sure that they're all served. A simplified processes underpinned by technology. Big data analytics, again, as you know, the data warehouse is being implemented, and that will continue to be refined over the next 3 years. So the idea is that with respect to audit, with respect to compliance, these will be underpinned by data, segmentation of the approach in which we use the best technology possible, and a resilient infrastructure in terms of the IT infrastructure that we have. The final one is the human capital, the people perspective. We can go to the next one. Here is about training, capacity building, optimizing the human capital that we have. I mentioned that there's a robust performance management framework that has been introduced in KRA that will continue. I talked about the value system and the ethics that we expect in terms of tax administration, institutionalization of the core values that I talked about, and therefore there will be a culture program over the 3 years to ensure that we are the Kenya Revenue Services in terms of not just name, but in terms of attitude and ethics. And also, we have an integrity program. As you know, we recently introduced the iWhistle to ensure that we're able to get information both with respect to staff and also taxpayers. And here, the expected output is better productivity as a result of the skill sets, as a result of the integrity, the training. And it is here where the Kenya Revenue, the training arm of KRA, KESRA, will be positioned as a center of excellence, and the training arm will be enhanced during the 3 years. KESRA has been instrumental in making sure that we have a core, a critical mass of people with tax training and customs training, and that positioning is going to continue. So here it's about the human capital, performance-driven on the one hand, and then ethics and integrity on the other, and so that we have a value system that really ensures that that takes us to the vision that we have in the corporate plan. Next, please. So, of course, this corporate plan requires financing, and that is over the 3 years, the expectation is that to be able to achieve the strategies, the goals, and the objectives that I just articulated requires financing, and that is the kind of finance we envisage to be required over the 3 years, about 117 billion. As I get to the end, we can go to the next one. So, everything I talked about the assumptions, I talked about the context in which we want to implement, the goals, the objectives, and the strategies. All that will be crystallized into what you see on this slide. Our goal is to collect 6.8 trillion over the coming 3 years, between 2021 and and 2024. If I just mention you saw the pictures and the graphics on the 7th corporate plan, we did 4.85. And now, over the next 3 years, the goal is to hit 6.8 trillion. Okay? Of course, underpinned by the technology that I talked about, the human capital, the ethics and the value system, all that. So, year 1, 1.88, second year, 2.2, almost 2.3, and then eventually 2.6. So that crystallizes what we expect. And I think this is the final slide. It reiterates what I just talked about. But the required growth over the 3 years is given there, 13.2 in terms of revenue, year 1, 20.8, year 2, 16.8, year 3. And if you look at the forecast nominal GDP growth as articulated in the budget policy statement, 11% first year, 11% second year, and 11.7. In any event, the required growth of revenue is higher than the nominal GDP. So as we implement this, a lot is expected from us. We also expect a lot from our citizens and the taxpayers. And I think that last slide, that is the last slide that actually gives us a crystallization of what we expect as a result of implementing the 8th corporate plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bwana Commissioner, for that incisive presentation. Another round of applause for him, please. Thank you. From time to time, I'm tempted to test whether you are attentive. What does the term tech represent as per his presentation? You are allowed to chorus it. I will not penalize you. Yes, yeah? It represents, my students have the right answer, but they are afraid of voicing it. Trustworthy, ethical, competent, helpful, and what? Simple. And those are the key core values of KRA. Thank you very much, Bwana Commissioner, once again. Honorable CS, permit me at this juncture to mention a few names, to recognize a few invited guests and dignitaries who have joined us and are here present with us today from various stakeholders or stakeholder organizations. We have with us Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, represented by CPA Rose Mwaura, who is also the chair of KNCCI, Legal and Regulatory Committee, and expert in taxation matters. We have Shippers Council of East Africa, led by Mr. Genesio Mugo, who is the chairman. We have with us MSME Alliance of Kenya, led by the chairman, Mr. Benson Mutahi. We also have here Nairobi Small Traders and Importers, represented by Miss Ann Nyokabi, I beg your pardon. We have Women in Business Network of Kenya, led by Ms. Mercy Chweya, who is the vice chair. We also have here with us the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, KAM, led by Mr. Mushai Kunyiha, who is the chairman and also director of KEPSA. We will be hearing from Mr. Kunyiha as the program continues. We have a representation from the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants of Kenya, led by Mr. Geoffrey Ochieng, who is the East Africa Education Manager for ACCA. We have Kenya International Freight and Warehousing Association, led by the Secretary, Board of Trustees. We also have Mr. Robinson Kilonzo, who is Nairobi Branch Chairman, and Mr. Jack Oteke, who is the National Vice Chairman. Thank you very much for coming. We have Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, ISPAC, led by FCPA Philip Muema, who is the Chair, Public Finance and Tax Committee of that institution. We have Kenya Ships Agents Association, led by Mr. Brian Nyaoke. We have the Private Sector Alliance, KEPSA, represented by the CEO of Brands and Beyond Limited, Mr. James Ngomeli, and several other representatives. And lastly, we have Association of Professional Societies in East Africa, APSIA, led by Mr. Vincent Olwoch, who is the convener of Professional Business Development Committee. Because I don't want to bore you with too many words, I would like us to look at the screen one more time. And now that we've heard from the convener and the process leader, the process that led to the development of this 8th corporate plan, can we now take a moment and listen to the staff views, the KRA staff who are actually going to implement this document? Let's take a moment to listen to what their views are regarding this 8th corporate plan.
For Central Region, I would want to hope that it focuses as part of the revenue mobilization aspect. I would expect that we give some focus on tax-based expansion. I would also expect some simplification of tax because Central Region being very unique in terms of its taxpayers.
This 8th corporate plan for the region, we are looking forward to seeing where it will address some underlying issues like some of the taxes that are there. Some taxpayers are not even able to pay them through the platforms that are there. They need to come to the office and facilitate them, of which they should be doing it from wherever they are.
We are talking about simplicity in our filing returns, simplicity in taxpayer making payments and getting to understand the law, that we may have a simple operations procedures and technology driven, that not only the 7th corporate plan had data driven compliance, but the 8th corporate plan as technology driven plan.
One of the things that is going to, which is very captured well in that the 8th corporate plan, is the issue of the compliance based on data. So whatever we are doing based on the information that is given to us. And really, it has really assisted us, like this Central Region, where land transactions are very frequent. So we are able to get those people who are buying and selling, and we're able to check their filing status. And we're getting good revenue from those information we're getting. Also, the issue of the NTSA, we're getting good data on the people who are paying advance tax, these circles, the matatus, the commercial vehicles. We're getting good data from that. And that is really captured in the 8th corporate plan.
The first message that the staff should get clearly is that KRA has embraced the culture of planning and has gone through 7 cycles, and now we are moving to the 8th cycle. And in this 8th cycle, the focus is on technology-driven compliance, tax simplification, and also tax-based expansion. And these are critical issues when it comes to the region where I am, which still has a lot of potential in terms of tax-based expansion.
In addressing the 8th corporate plan, I would say I would expect that it will address the tax-based expansion such that as West Pokot County, we are able to generate revenue, more revenue, is through recruitment of landlords, because it's a developing county, buildings are being built houses are being constructed every day, and so there's a potential for the monthly rental income, and also the turnover tax head, seeing that there are so many small businesses that have the capability to pay taxes on a monthly basis.
Turkana County has 77 kilometers and it's very fast, and we only have one TSO office here in Lodwar, and another office based in Lokichogyo is only for customs. Give us more 2 satellite offices, one based in Kakuma because Kakuma has a thriving businesses because of refugees and other businesses. Most of the NGOs serving the refugees are based in Kakuma. Another office we are expecting at least to be in Lokichar because oil wells that were explored in Turkana County are based in Lokichar, and it will be much better if that place will have a satellite station because now at least a business is thriving in that place.
We will wish the 8th corporate plan to be able to help us interlink data from Kra, Treasury and Register of Companies so that we are able to get immediate data. For instance, maybe when taxpayers are paid by county governments or any payment is made through them, we are able to get the data immediately so that we are able to collect the revenue as per when it is paid.
A person has to commit more than 250 kilometers to come and get service, Kra service in Lokchogyo. So I suggest we have an office at a middle point like Kakuma, whereby the services, the Kra services will be met there, so that a person who comes from, let's say, Lokitown or Logolit or Letea gets a service in Kakuma. Our office in Kakuma will help to tap taxes on gainful businesses that are there, because we see like Kakuma has a booming economy.
In technology, one thing we need the most in Lokchogyo. And as you see, Nadapal border doesn't have a scanner. So one thing I'm certain sure is the 8th corporate plan will ensure scanners are installed in Nadapal, and scanning both goods and people entering and leaving the country will be easier for us.
We are covering a big area that has many porous borders with an element of expansion of tax base. We're looking forward whereby most of these porous borders will be gazetted, either to be patrol borders or custom stations, and through that we'll bring efficiency in patrol and even efficiency work in Kra as far as we correction of taxes and even the patrol of our borders.
The good news is that we have a management that is very keen in terms of organizing us to perform our duties better, and it's for that reason that the 8th corporate plan, which is a planning tool, has been developed, and we were part of it because our views were sought when we were at the initial stages. Now the views of everyone has been compiled and taken together into one document, and now it's our document. Good people, let's own it. Let's now prepare ourselves to start the journey.
With the expansion of the road network, there's potential of improvement of revenue base in Luahaha, because when there's a lot of congestion in Malaba, trucks are directed to pass through Luahaha.
Nyamtiro satellite station has a number of issues that, if addressed, I think in the next corporate plan, which is the 8th, I think our work will be made easier. One is technological aspect, making sure that our network is working well, and we'll be in a position now to access the systems easily. And if that is facilitated, clients that passes through here will have to be, his matters will be addressed at the station easily.
Being an area where the locality is quite illiterate, and most of them are informal traders, small-scale traders, the aspect of tax simplification will be an advantage to the area and even to the office.
I'm looking forward that all the modules of ICMS will be able to be fully rolled out within the 8th corporate plan. I believe that will propel the authority further towards achieving the targeted revenue collection of 6.8 trillion.
Basically expect the not yet incorporated modules that are yet to be put in the ICMS to be rolled out fully, and then the OSBP in Lunga Lunga to be fully functional, such that we will cut down on the time and cost that a trader comes and waits being cleared in Tanzania and then being cleared again in Kenya.
Speedboat to be provided with since it's a sea border for control.
The corporate plan is a strategic direction the organization is taking in the next three-year plan period. And one of the key focus is on tax base expansion. We are to bring services closer to the people. We are making an outreach to reach many taxpayers in our area. And we are looking at opening new operational areas. The Lamu port is topping the list. The second key focus is the technology-driven compliance. We are talking about using technology in collection of taxes. What is key in this area of technology-driven is also the integration to ensure that the systems are talking to each other, and the information exchange to ensure efficiency and optimization of revenue collection efforts. The last key focus is tax simplification. This is very important. If you look at the canons of taxation, the ease of collection, it should be very easy to collect taxes.
An applause. Thank you very much. Honorable CS, watching this video, you can quickly tell that we are talking about a staff establishment that is informed, very knowledgeable, and fairly motivated on the task that is lying ahead of them over the next 3 years. And so we say kudos to the Kra leadership for managing such kind of a staff body. I am reliably informed that we have numbers streaming online, and I will be getting you the numbers shortly, but currently on WebEx, the live portal, we have slightly over 750 people who are watching this online, and we appreciate you, we value you, and we thank you for joining. We ask you to continue watching and invite as many people as possible. On Facebook and YouTube, we have about 500 people as at this minute who are watching online. At this moment, allow me to call the representative of the private sector, the chairperson of KEPSA, Mr. Mushai Kunyiha, who is also is the director of KEPSA, I'm sorry, who is also the chairperson of Association of Manufacturers, to give us a few sentiments on the 8th corporate plan of Kra.
the Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, Ambassador Ukuri Yatani, KRA Board Chairman, Ambassador Mudaura, and your directors, the Commissioner General, Mr. Githimburu, and the other commissioners and staff of KRA, the business community who I'm representing, the private sector, who are here gathered and watching online, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Mine is to give a few remarks on behalf of the private sector, who are, and I was thinking about, I don't know whether we are the customers or the stakeholders. I assume the CS is your main customer, since he's the one you deliver to. And we are also part of the stakeholders in this whole network, or the pairs. Perhaps we are the suppliers in this situation. But we are part of this network with KRA, and we're actually grateful and happy that we're here for this launch of the strategic plan. It's been noted that it is the 8th one, so congratulations on getting through the 7th, coming this far. And it's fair to say, as private sector, we have seen and observed there's a lot of change in KRA and a lot of improvement. Things have been moving forward over all those years. So for that, kudos to you, and perhaps a hand of applause for how far they've come so far. Together with that, we have engaged. We were part of this review in the stakeholder forums. We engaged, I personally engaged in meetings where we were discussing what are the issues and what are the things we'd like to see. And we are happy to see that a lot of them have been picked up in the final document. And I'll just make a few comments on those. As we know, the private sector is a big part of the tax collection. In fact, if not the biggest part. In manufacturing, although we are 7.5% of GDP, just above that, we are about 17.5% of the tax collection. So we are a key stakeholder in this, and we are happy that we are able to engage on these issues. We have an open door policy here. CS, we say this is not the first time we are coming here. We've met with the board, we meet with the CG, we meet with the commissioners. They're able to interact with us and solve many issues as we go along. And we want to encourage that to continue, that we continue solving those issues. Although we have solved very many issues, we are far from finishing the journey. There are still many issues to be dealt with, and so we want to continue with that process that we are doing. Just to highlight some of the ones we've solved, we've done very well at the moment on VAT refunds, which has been, as long as I've been in these associations, it's been a continuous story for VAT refunds, and we've seen a good improvement. I think we saw it on the video. That's been working well. Excisable goods management system, not complete, but we are still working on some of those issues. So we've solved a lot of issues by coming together and talking through those issues. With regard to the current, the 8th strategic plan, just a few comments on the issues that have been highlighted and raised. On tax simplification, we are 100% behind that. That is one of the areas we are very concerned about. As we get more and more complex tax systems, it creates one cost for us to be able to just meet your tax obligations. It starts becoming more and more expensive, which is a challenge for us. And then, of course, it creates risks, because as more taxes are in and they are combining with others, you find you missed one because you didn't remember this one or the other one. So a simplified tax system is great for us. We are very encouraged, Bwana CS, when we heard in your budget speech about the national tax policy, and we'd want to participate in that, because we think also one of the big challenges we want to see as investors is a stable and predictable tax environment, where we can actually tell, if I build a factory, what will my tax be in 2025, 2028? I have a clearish picture. Of course, there'll be some changes here and there, but it's not changing too drastically as we go along. So that we are very keen to see as it becomes simple. And I think this is outside maybe of KRA, but perhaps with the CS and other government is we are now getting more and more taxes, levies, fees outside of KRA, which are then complicating life more. We get, this last couple of months, we've had about 4 or 5 coming in the agricultural sector. Pay for this, pay for this, pay for that, here, there, everywhere. It just complicates life, which makes it very difficult for business. So it's simplicity across the board, including with counties. Technology-driven, fantastic as well. We are actually finding it's going very well with itax, with ICMS as they are changing. It has taken a while to develop them and get them going, but they're going very well in most cases. And we applaud you for how far we've come. Of course, there are challenges within them that remain. And some of the things we are saying is how fast can we adjust, especially when we are changing things. We have a couple of issues. I'll just highlight one. It's not necessarily very big, but it shows you the challenge that we have. We have VAT on imports. When we're importing goods, sometimes our clearing agents will pay VAT on our behalf, like for KPA charges and so on. Trying to get that VAT to the importer's account is an ongoing issue. I mean, and it's an IT issue. It is not, we agreed with KRA that it should be there, but it's just how quickly can we adjust the IT when necessary. So I think that's part of the work that will be necessary so that we can be able to adjust the systems whenever it's happening. Teams, we are looking forward to when we can do the teams process as well. The VA assessments, although I think they do overall, it's good for economy, it's good for everything, tax adherence. One of the challenges is the obligation or the challenge it is bringing to a taxpayer, because sometimes we are now burdened with the misdeeds or misfilings of our suppliers and other people, because it becomes our responsibility. So if we can ease that, that will make life much easier for us. On expanding the tax base, again, we'd be very happy, like we say, just speaking specifically for manufacturing sector, we'd be happy to pay 7.5% of the taxes rather than 17.5%. If we can bring everybody else to pay their own share, that would be very good for us. You know, we'd be in a good level playing field. And I think, like was emphasized in the videos from the staff and elsewhere, one of the big things is also about just the illicit areas. There's a lot of illicit trade, and the problem, as Banasiji will know and Banasias, is that the illicit trade hits us twice. Once, at the beginning, they don't pay the tax when they come in, and then 2, they come and distort the markets for other tax-paying businesses. Because if somebody is bringing in cheaper goods, he's cutting your market and not allowing you to grow that market, for which you would have collected most of the taxes because there are more adherent taxpayers there. Finally, just to mention the COVID situation and where we are, I think I like that Dr. mentioned we need to look at our environment and where we are. I have to say, Dr. I was a bit shocked by your last slide of how much you are expecting to collect, but that is a conversation for later. But, you know, of course, we know the impact of COVID, but I was listening to something recently, and I was saying that the reality of COVID is that there is probably no post-COVID for a while. Once that virus got out, it is with us. So the question will be, how much COVID do we have? Is it, is it too high? Are we having to lock down and put down restrictions? Have we vaccinated enough? Because that will be the challenge. Now, if we vaccinate enough, at least we'll be able to continue operating. And we're actually encouraging government, working with government, how can we increase our vaccination coverage? Because that is what is going to help us get some semblance of normality. But otherwise, COVID might be, we need to think about it as something that is here for quite a while, or at least until we hope somebody does get a conclusion. Then finally, I think of course, a strategic plan, like we do in business, in private sector, it's just the beginning of the journey. happy to see that even with the 7th, you are able to show where you have reached. So this is now work for the board of KRA, the commissioner and his staff. And we'd like to see, I love the values, the texts we were being told about. If we can see them on the ground at every level, that implementation would be fantastic for us. The strategic plan is also good for us as private sector because it gives us is it like a yardstick, which we can come when we come and meet with you. We say, you told us you were going to simplify taxes. Now look what you're doing. You told us you are going to include technology. Look what you're doing. It helps us to keep you accountable, and we will be doing that as we try to work together. So thank you very much, and congratulations on the launch. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mushai Kunyiha. Another round of applause for him. Honorable CS, about to hand over this program to the next level. But before we do that, permit me to play another video to transition us into the next level, which will culminate into the launch of today's, into the launch of the 8th corporate plan. This next video is about the sentiments of KRA leadership. Having heard from the staff fraternity, it is fair that we also hear what the leadership have to say about the 8th corporate plan and its impact on the achievement of the tax target.
In developing the 8th corporate plan, the board looked at the achievements and the shortcoming of the 7th corporate plan, and also looked at the changing circumstances of business, particularly technology and the circumstances arising from the COVID pandemic. Taking from there, the board then looked at the future circumstances and focused on developing the key themes of the 8th corporate plan. First was to facilitate economic activity and trade. The second was the focus on simplification of taxes and tax collections and compliance processes. Another focus area was the expansion of the tax base. How can we expand the tax base to make it more sustainable? Another key focus area was to deliver exceptional service to our customers, the taxpayers, and extend the community outreach throughout the country. We also focused on reducing the cost of collecting taxes by greater and more efficient use of technology. The objective was to continue to build a performance-driven and ethical and motivated workforce.
I believe that at the end of the 8th corporate plan, I should be able to see a KRA that has espoused tax simplification, has worked through and managed to simplify tax processes for the citizens of this country, so that it is very easy to declare your tax obligation and to pay that obligation. So tax simplification is important in this 8th corporate plan. The other critical issue that I would like to see happen is to enhance what we call the use of technology. We call it technology-driven compliance, where we are able to utilize data to enhance compliance. We are able to integrate with other systems that may have information that we can use for the purposes of ensuring improved compliance and improved revenue mobilization. And finally, we will continue expanding the tax base. Every Kenyan must be able to pull their weight, to pay their taxes whether small or big. So I'm calling those the 3 T's: tax simplification, technology-driven compliance, and tax-based expansion.
First, there was a comprehensive engagement with both internal and external stakeholders. We've had focus group discussions with different groups. We've had influencers and opinion leaders being interviewed for the corporate plan. They have been able to give us their perspectives on what they want to see. Internally, we've had our technical teams, the various departments having their submissions, making sure that we are capturing the essence of what they need to do over the next 3 years. So having been a process that was co-created by the different stakeholders, both internal and external, then my word is that the implementation is for us to see, to ensure that the very document that we have developed together is implemented successfully. So all the deliverables that are there are meant to either expand the tax base, make sure that tax administration is better, there's performance management issues, the cultural issues, the values, as well as ensuring that the tax base is also expanded. So my message is that as we do this, we do it together, both internal stakeholders as well as external stakeholders, and ensure that we successfully deliver the key indicators in the 8th corporate plan.
We started by getting the themes of the plan from the board of directors. We also reviewed corporate plans from other tax administrations. After that, we had a workshop where we invited the subject matter experts to give presentations on what are the current trends, what are the focus areas in terms of tax administration, so that then we are not left behind. We did a technical workshop where we invited technical officers in our departments to craft the strategies, the specific strategies to feature in the corporate plan. Presented again to them, to the management and the board for approval. Approval was granted, and also a copy of the draft was presented to the National Treasury. We had now the final, what we would call the final blueprint. It has been very involving journey, talking to as many stakeholders as possible, so that now we have a more inclusive document.
We managed to visit most of the taxpayer service stations. We engaged staff in Nairobi. We had 22 virtual engagements with the staff in Nairobi, and we visited about 40 stations countrywide. And the staff were actually very happy to be engaged in this process, and for us to go to the ground and get their views, and also to make sure that they are incorporated in the 8th corporate plan, because getting the views and having them in the corporate plan is another thing. They will be happy to see it as a reflection of what came from them.
Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, even the leadership of KRA have a firm grasp of the 8th corporate plan, and they have a very, very good sense of direction. And we are confident that the next 3 years, Honorable CS, is going to be an exciting journey, and no doubt we are optimistic that KRA will meet its tax targets. At this juncture, Honorable CS, allow me to invite just a minute, sorry. Allow me to invite the Commissioner General of KRA, Mr. Githimburu, CBS, to come here on stage and make a few remarks, after which he will proceed with the program uninterrupted. Commissioner General, please.
The Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, Honorable Ambassador Ukuri Atadi, the Principal Secretary to the National Treasury, the KRA Board Chairman, Ambassador Francis Mudaura, KRA Board members, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Today marks a great milestone for the Kenya Revenue Authority and the taxpayers as we launch our blueprint, the 8th Corporate Plan, which articulates our agenda and focuses in enhancement of revenue for the Kenyan government. This day marks the beginning of a 3-year journey towards realizing our vision of becoming a globally trusted revenue agency, facilitating tax and customs compliance. Alan Lacane, a great American author, observed that planning is bringing the future into the present so that you can do something about it now. KRA has contextualized the next 3 financial years in light of Kenya's development agenda as spelled out in the Kenya Vision 2030 and other related transformative plans. Our focus over the plan period is to enhance government revenue mobilization and improve service delivery through tax simplification, technology-driven compliance, and tax-based expansion. Ladies and gentlemen, as we plan, it is important to reflect on past successes and draw lessons to inform our desired future as an organization. Over the 7th Corporate Plan, KRA registered 71% realization of the key performance indicators and 87% performance on strategic initiatives. In the context of the COVID-19 challenges that emerged in the early 2020, this is a commendable performance. In the 7th Corporate Plan, we achieved 99% cumulative revenue target driven by tax-based expansion, the use of intelligence and technology, effective dispute resolution, and an elaborate trade facilitation program. We grew the tax base from 3.9 million taxpayers to 6.1 million, representing 55% growth. Additionally, we streamlined our business procedures, automated our processes, and enhanced our data and digital capabilities towards becoming simple at the front, smart at the back. Significant to note is a success in processing of VAT refunds. We can proudly report that in the last 3 years period, ending May 2021, KRA refunded 59.4 billion to the various taxpayers, which is a great stride in trade facilitation. Our staff have played a pivotal role in our success story as an authority. Over the 7th plan period, we finalized organizational restructuring in line with the KRA's transformation agenda, recruited 1728 additional staff to critical positions, built staff capacity and well-being through robust skills enhancement and welfare programs. All this cumulated to an employee satisfaction rate of 66.2% in 20 to 2021, an improvement from 64.4% in 2019-20. Ladies and gentlemen, we launched the 8th Corporate Plan as the world comes to terms with the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on businesses and livelihoods. The implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area will further redefine cross-border trade. The 8th Corporate Plan was developed with deep appreciation of this operating environment. The achievement of the 8th Corporate Plan deliverables will be supported by 6 thrusts: revenue mobilization, tax base expansion, simplification of the tax regime, application of cutting-edge technology, performance-oriented and ethical organizational culture, and strategic partnerships to bolster compliance. Over the 8th plan period, KRA is expected to collect 6.8 trillion and sustain an annual average growth of 16.9%. Over the period, nominal GDP growth is projected to grow at 11%, 11.2%. This therefore calls for innovative ways to mobilize revenues as the government seeks to implement tax policy measures that reduce tax burden on citizens. The growth in taxes in this plan cycle is anchored on economic growth and enhanced compliance. We will therefore expand the tax base by targeting sectors with potential for revenue growth, such as real estate, businesses in the turnover tax regime, non-compliant businesses, professionals, high net worth individuals, and the digital economy. In total, the number of active taxpayers is expected to increase by an additional 2 million. Further, we shall seal revenue leakages through a multifaceted program that will entail curbing corruption among our staff and tax evasion by taxpayers as we deploy our robust intelligence networks to penetrate corruption and tax evasion cartels to bring to bear the consequences of evading taxes and engaging in corrupt practices. During the planned period, we shall adopt modern technologies, including artificial intelligence, blockchain, and machine learning to support revenue mobilization. As we do this, we shall upgrade existing ICT infrastructure to meet emerging business needs, enhance cybersecurity, strengthen data analytic capability, and clean up the taxpayer database. We shall upscale the rollout of our simplified online services, self-services, and fully integrate our systems with databases such as the IFMIS, IPPD, CBK, NTSA, highway CCTVs, and the land registry, among others. Exceptional customer service remains a key goal. Over the planned period, we intend to simplify and streamline tax and business processes to make it easy to comply and facilitate legitimate trade. We shall pursue efficient and effective refund management and improve the dispute resolution mechanism. Further, KRA shall improve the quality and access of our services, initiating transition into the Kenya Revenue Service as we expand our structured stakeholder engagements. Ladies and gentlemen, as we embark towards the fulfillment of the plan, we do recognize staff as the key agents in realization of our short, medium, and long-term operations aspirations. We aim to have an all-round motivated, performance-driven, and ethical workforce. We strive to optimize human resource capacity and capability through attraction and retention of competent staff, entrenching a positive organization culture, promoting agile performance improvement mechanisms, and improving the work environment for optimal productivity of our staff. Honorable Cabinet Secretary, we are cognizant of the momentous task ahead towards meeting our overarching goals over the next 3 years. The aspiration is ambitious, no doubt. But with concerted efforts from all stakeholders, we must aim for the stars. To facilitate delivery of this plan, we estimate that Kenya shillings 117.6 billion will be required to implement all the initiatives highlighted in the plan. Honorable Cabinet Secretary, this represents 1.75% of the 6.8 trillion we are expected to collect. We believe this amount demonstrates efficient use of resources and value for money for the citizens of this country. Ladies and gentlemen, in the fullness of time, we all shall witness the collective successful implementation of the plan in June 2024 and celebrate the success of our country. It is now my pleasure to now invite the board chairman, Ambassador Dr. Francis Mudaura, to make his remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our chief guest, Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, the Honorable Ambassador Uku Yatani, the Principal Secretary, National Treasury, our distinguished guests, headed by Mr. Muchai, the Chair of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers and Director of KEPSA, Commissioner General, Mr. Gidimburu, KRI staff, and more importantly, last but not least, my colleagues in the board of directors of KRI. I've decided to reverse that because we are the hosts. So don't be worried about that. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great delight to be here today as we launch the Kenya Revenue Authority Blueprint, the 8th Corporate Plan. This plan defines the strategic path that the KRI shall adopt to enhance revenue, mobilization, and compliance in the next 3 years. It is gratifying to note that KRI engaged various stakeholders in the formulation process of this plan, hence taking into consideration concerns of interested parties. With this level of consultations, I believe that the plan shall play a pivotal role in the realization of country's Vision 2030 and His Excellency the President's Big Four agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, since its launch in July 2018, the 7th Corporate Plan has enabled KRI to realize various key milestones in the delivery of its mandate as the leader in revenue mobilization in Kenya. During the ending plan period, the overall revenue performance was Kenya shillings 4,849.3 billion against the plan's target of Kenya shillings 4,899.3 billion, a performance of 99%. Other notable achievements over the 7th Corporate Plan period have been articulated by the Commissioner General, who has spoken before me, and several other speakers. One thing to note is that COVID-19 impacted heavily on all sectors of the economy, and as an authority, we had to contend with a lot of adjustments and business continuity strategies in order to stay afloat to meet our goals. Ladies and gentlemen, the 8th Corporate Plan shall mainly focus on enhancement of revenue mobilization efforts in support of the government development goals and to provide exceptional customer service through tax simplification, technology-driven compliance, tax base expansion initiatives, and improved trade facilitation across borders and internationally. Ladies and gentlemen, revenue authorities worldwide play a crucial role in mobilizing revenue for the state, as well as enhancing business environment for trade to thrive and expand. To this end, the authorities' mission statement is to enhance mobilization of government revenue and to facilitate growth in economic activities and trade by ensuring compliance with the tax and the customs laws, and underpins KRA's role in spearheading the Kenya's development agenda. The KRA board identified 6 strategic thrusts that will drive the 8th corporate plan, which I will highlight briefly. 1, revenue mobilization. Over the plan period, KRA is expected to collect Kenya shillings 6.831 trillion, with the core revenues being exchequer revenues, railway development levy, and the road maintenance levy fund. The revenues are expected to grow by annual average of 17.1% over the plan period, for above the 11.4% projected growth in nominal GDP. 2, tax-based expansion. Revenue streams have over the years shrunk, and coupled with the ever-changing economic structures has necessitated tapping of new taxable income sources. Key focus, as highlighted in the corporate plan, will be on the large untapped informal sector, including the agricultural sector, professionals, high net worth individuals, real estate, and the digital economy. 3, simplification of the tax regime to ease compliance and service delivery. KRA undertakes to offer an easier interpretation and understanding of tax laws and simple customer-centric services. 4, application of cutting-edge technology. The world is rapidly changing, hence the need to adopt to new ways of conducting business in the technological space. Keen focus will be the adoption of technology such as blockchain and artificial intelligence. 5, performance-oriented and ethical organization culture. As an authority, we shall endeavor to continue facilitating and motivating our staff for enhanced productivity, as well as emphasizing on ethical conduct and professionalism by all staff. Key focus areas will be enhancing the staff performance and management and the value-based culture. 6, strategic partnerships to boost compliance. As the old adage says, if you want to go fast, walk alone. But if you want to walk far, walk together with other people. We will continue forging partnerships with the key stakeholders, other public and private institutions for purposes of, among others, exchange information, tax-based expansion, and combating illicit trade. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I take this opportunity to recognize the support and the guidance received from National Treasury, especially with respect to funding our revenue mobilization initiatives. Honorable Minister, you have been extremely responsive to KRI, and we really want to register our appreciation. We are hopeful that we shall access adequate funding to fully implement the 8th cooperative plan which you are launching today. I also wish to also sincerely thank my fellow board members. I think I will ask the few who are here, because of COVID, we decided to have just a few here. Mr. Mukesh, can you please stand up? Mukesh Shah. This is the chair of the strategy committee. And Ruth Waruyu, can you please stand up? That's the chair of the audit and risk management committee. And Mr. Gadanje, who is our very useful member of the board, who advises us on the treasury policy. He is a representative of the treasury. Thank you very much. KRI management, I think we have commissioners here. Commissioners, can you stand up, please, so that you're also seen? Because without the commissioners, it's very difficult to do what we do. I think we have Radian here, from Commission of Customs. We have Matuko, who is a Commissioner for Legal Affairs and the Board Secretary. We have Dr. Kino, and then we have Ms. Simiu, Rispa Simiu, who is Commissioner for Domestic Taxes. We have Dr. Mugambi here, who is in charge of the Kenya School of Government Training. Manpower training is very important. And of course, our, the key person in this business here, Mohammed, Commissioner Mohammed Homa, who has already spoken to you. Do you have anybody else left? No? So these are the people really who are on the driving wheels, and we need to give them a clap. Without them, the work becomes very difficult. Thank you very much. We strongly believe that, Minister, your continued support and all the stakeholders who are here, all the stakeholders who are our guests today, we shall be able to achieve the vision contained in this strategy, and really our vision of transforming this organization to a globally trusted revenue agency that facilitates tax and customs compliance. Ladies and gentlemen, with these few remarks, it is now my pleasure and honor to invite our chief guest, the Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, the Honorable Ambassador Uku Yatani, to address us and officially launch the KRA 8th Corporate Plan. Can you clap for him, please? Thank you.
Please be seated. the chairman and board directors of Kenya Revenue Authority, and my friend Dr. Francis Mudhaura, the Commissioner General Githin Mburu, management and staff of Kenya Revenue Authority, stakeholders present here today, distinguished taxpayers, ladies and gentlemen. I hope it's still morning. Good morning. Foremost, it gives me great pleasure to join you today to preside over the official launch of the Kenya Revenue Authority 8th Corporate Plan. You will all agree with me that successful organizations world over are known to be good planners and do not leave anything to chance. Because such organizations develop strategic blueprints to guide their success. Kenya Revenue Authority has proven to be one such entity in this country that has remained faithful broadly to its plan, with huge history of success. You know, they say, if you don't know where you're going, you don't get lost. Whichever direction you go is good for you. But I think for KRA, it has been different, and that is very important. And that's why Treasury, custodian on the responsibilities of many state enterprises and parastatals, they always have time for Kenya Revenue Authority because this is our premier organization, and we know wherever they set their foot, they give their best in terms of commitment and dedication, and they mean well, and they fed us, and that's why we are here today. While developing a strategic blueprint, it's important for an organization to anchor its strategic plans on national development goals. In this respect, I'm delighted to learn that this 8th corporate plan is aligned to the Kenya's development goals as spelled out in our Kenya's Vision 2030, the medium-term plan, and also aligned alongside the Big Four agenda. Is very, very important because planning cannot stand alone. It must stand within the context of the goal of our nation. As we know where we are going, you also fit in your plan within the broader objective of the country. And since you have done that, I congratulate you. Additionally, the corporate plan seeks to support the economic recovery strategy which the government is currently implementing to reposition the economy on an inclusive and sustainable growth trajectory to improve lives and livelihood of Kenyans. You are aware we've been hit hard by COVID like the rest of the world, and we are all struggling to make sure that we reposition our economy to that desired path. And since you've incorporated this is also another milestone that we are all aligned and we are headed in one direction. Ladies and gentlemen, successful implementation of Big Four agenda and the economic recovery strategy will promote inclusive growth and transform the lives of Kenyans. To realize these development aspirations, it's critical to enhance revenue mobilization so as to improve service delivery. All the good plans we have that we want to achieve within the settled time can only be realized if we have the necessary oil to make it move. And that can only happen if KRA is efficient and is able to meet that required objective. In sync with the policy trust, I am pleased to know that the theme of the 8th corporate plan, which is revenue mobilization through tax simplification, technology-driven compliance, and tax-based expansion, resonates very well with the strategic direction of the government to boost revenue mobilization so as to foster a resilient and sustainable economic recovery. The outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 affected economic activities globally, and Kenya was not spared. As a result of the adverse impact of the pandemic, the government instituted containment measures to curb the spread of the virus so as to save lives. You are aware that at the peak of the challenge last year, we rolled out very elaborate fiscal interventions where we give tax breaks, tax relief to the Kenyan people and businesses to enable them to navigate through the hard times, and including the reduction of VAT, corporate tax, by giving all income earners of 24,000 per month, where they're given opportunity not to pay any tax. These fiscal measures were in addition to the enhanced cash transfer programs that we rolled out mainly to the most vulnerable segment of our population, mainly within the informal settlements, like in parts of Nairobi and other urban centers. The idea is just to cushion our people so that they will not, the impact of the COVID will be lessened. The government went further and implement monetary measures by reducing the cash rate, the CBK cash rate from 8.25 to 7, as well as also lowering the cash reserve ratio from 5.25 to 4.25. The net sum of all this was to increase liquidity in the economy so that now businesses can survive the very hard times. We've also been able that, the interest rate to the private sectors, mainly the SMEs, have been reduced. And many SMEs survived, while in a situation, if we did not intervene, they will have had very serious challenge. Of course, you're also aware that the government rolled out the economic stimulus package program in order to spur economic activities by targeting critical areas of infrastructure, education, health, tourism, manufacturing, environment, among many others. The idea is just to cushion and support the economy, by having this critical investment. Of course, the pandemic, no doubt, affected the revenue performance, especially the first half of the financial year 2021, and also 21 coming forward, mid-21, 22. As we reopen the economy, we reversed some of the tax reliefs so as to support revenue growth beginning January 2021. And as a result of this, we've seen great stride, great improvement in the revenue performance. This is good for us because all the dreams that we've had in terms of growing our economy will now be realized to a great extent while enhancing service delivery, at the same time investing in critical sectors of growth. I am pleased to know that since then, the revenue performance recovered and some instances surpassed targets. And I wish to commend the board, management, and staff of KRA for this turnaround in revenue performance. It's really come at a very important time when all odds were projected and were predicted, when dooms were predicted, that you managed to even not only meet your targets, and in some cases surpass this target, was a commendable job. And I want to take this opportunity on behalf of government to congratulate you and to thank you for staying on target, because this country looks unto you for that required resources to manage activities of government. The government has continued to respond and support economic recovery efforts through an economic program targeting certain critical areas. You are aware that over a period of time now, I think for the last 1 month or two, we've had issues where we are being told now we are going to IMF to do this, to do that. But those are our own reform interventions because we believe in it. Institutions need to change. If they not comply or they not meet target as required, unlike here, Railway is really on course and we are happy with all the parameters, we have to reform certain state enterprises, including KPLC, Kenya Airways, among many others. And in doing this, we require substantial resources to put them on the right trajectory. Of course, one of the areas that we've targeted ourselves is to enhance our ability to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. Those are the reforms measures that we are currently implementing. Secondly, we're also looking at reducing debt vulnerabilities through revenue-driven fiscal consolidation with a view to stabilizing debt to GDP ratio over the medium term. Kenyans have been quite concerned about the state of debt affairs in our country, and we are alive to the fact, and we must take deliberate steps to address them. And that is exactly what we are doing through elaborate fiscal consolidation by also reducing certain expenditures in government to make it lean and efficient, but at the same time also growing our revenue base so that now we have collect more, spend less, and therefore address the issues of debt vulnerability. Thirdly, we also implemented targeted policy, legal, and institutional reforms, while at the same time addressing vulnerabilities in the state-owned enterprises that has been worsened by the state of COVID-19 pandemic. And fourthly, strengthening the monetary policy framework and the financial stability, because if we do not have a sound, sustainable monetary policy in place, therefore we are going to have challenges. And to put all these, and to this effect, to a great extent, we managed to rally development partners and support for a number of credible international institutions who are happy with our reform targets, and they are all supporting us in this. This economic recovery program, designed to reduce the level of fiscal deficit from the current 8.7 of GDP to 7.5 next year, and also over a period of time, we are looking at 3.6 of GDP, because we believe when we manage to reduce the size of budget deficit, therefore there will be little appetite to borrow. You can manage, you can be masters of one destiny, and that's the direction that we want to go, because this will stabilize the growth in the public debt over the medium term. KRA, as you all know, is the lead government agency responsible for collection of over 90% of exchequer revenue. We have also other areas, like, revenues raised through delivery of government services, like what we call appropriation in aid, among others. But KRA contributes over 90% of our revenue to the exchequer. This is very important. That's why at a given time, that KRA must continue to have the best in terms of support for them to continue realizing this important resource for the performance of our own activities as government. Indeed, over the next 3 years, I expect exchequer revenue to rise from the current 1.77 trillion in this financial year to Kenyan shilling 2.5 trillion by 2023-2024. It may look alarming, but it's doable. And you have shown that you can do it. And we have faith that you will do it. And that's why we want to work together, support you in realizing these objectives for us. KRA's success in achieving its mandate is fundamental to the ability of the government to deliver on its development agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, in developing a new strategic plan, the lessons learned during the implementation of the preceding plan, like now the Plan 7 that you've just concluding, are critical to the success of subsequent plans. I know that in the course of the 7th corporate plan period, KRA made significant strides in enhancing tax collection. The Chairman and the Commissioner General have articulated this, some of these key achievements, including the growth of active taxpayer base by 55%, from 3.9 million in the financial year 2018-2019 to 6.1 million in the financial year 2020-2021. I think it's almost double. This is very, very important, and we really want to thank you. Additionally, the revenue collected during the 7th corporate plan period stood at Kenyan shilling 4.8 trillion, a 21% growth over the 6th corporate plan period, where a total of Kenyan shilling 4 trillion was collected. This commendable performance was achieved despite the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in early 2020 that led to the emergence of new business models, increased the use of digital platforms for transaction, and growth in the hard-to-tax sectors, such as the informal sectors. Of course, you know, that's one critical area that we need to target, because over 80% of employment in this country are created by the informal sector. But most of them are not within the tax bracket. This is one critical area that we need to work closely together, have them within the tax bracket by giving them support, facilitation, so that they feel also ease to be part of the mainstream economy of this country. I am sure that sustained implementation of this plan and remaining quite focused on target at all times, while maintaining the professionalism that we displayed along the way, will undoubtedly enable you to achieve this, implementation of this target, and even surpass that the way you've done. But this requires call for commitment. It requires call for sustained professionalism, but at the same time also being alive that this is not only your work environment, but this is like, a family setup, that we must nurture and work together and motivate our staff to continue implementing all this. Ladies and gentlemen, despite the revenue growth recorded during the 7th corporate plan, A number of initiatives remains unmet due to unforeseeable circumstances, and have now been incorporated in the 8th corporate plan. This is what I've been made to understand, that the lessons that you've learned along the way, you are now able to incorporate significantly most of those areas that you have not been able to meet for certain challenges, and putting all those lessons in place, I'm sure will enable us achieve, even surpass the targets that we have given ourselves for the 7th plan. One such deliverable is the implementation of the Port Charter aimed at improving pre-arrival cargo clearance from 18% to 23%, but only achieved 20%. Of course, it's not so bad, but I'm sure now, having realized this, you will manage it. While the time taken to clear cargo at the port still remains long, actually I'm a bit alarmed because I'm told now to clear, we need more than 146 hours, and that is like how many days? Several days. We shouldn't be talking about that at this stage in time. It's something that we can only murmur about it, but we know that we have some work to do, and a lot of work remains ahead of us. You know, this is a very, very competitive world, and we are not alone competing among ourselves, but we are competing with the region and beyond. And for us to do this, we must remain efficient in the way we transact. This delay can be addressed by the fast-tracking of the full rollout of the integrated customs management system and the paperless cargo clearance process at container freight stations in Mombasa. It is my expectation that the execution of the important technology-led innovations will be prioritized in this new plan. You know, any organization that does not embrace technology to the full, 100%, therefore, is heading in the wrong direction. And I'm sure with the utilizations that you've undertaken in terms of ICT consumption, you can do better, and you've done it. You just need to incorporate every aspect that has not been fully automated so that we have a 100% success. Ladies and gentlemen, we have made efforts to expand the tax base through introduction of the digital service tax and the minimum tax with effect from 1st January 2021. Following the introduction of the voluntary tax disclosure program, many taxpayers are now able to engage KRA and agree on modalities of paying their tax liabilities and are benefited from relief of penalties and interest of the tax disclosed. Of course, this is an ongoing engagement at all times with our critical stakeholder, the taxpayers. The program, which became effective 1st of January 2021, will improve revenue collection through enhanced compliance by bringing more taxpayers into the tax net. Distinguished guests, the alternative dispute resolution mechanism has to a great extent been a success since its establishment in 2015, with a significant growth in both the number of cases resolved and the revenues realized. Indeed, 393 cases were resolved through alternative dispute resolution in the financial 2020-21, and about 914 cases over the 7th corporate plan period, unlocking close to 40 billion, and a total of 9.2 billion during the 7th corporate plan period, up from 9.2 billion during the 6th corporate plan. Well, I'm sure this is one critical area that we've been struggling with it. We are not there yet, because our critical stakeholders, our friends, the taxpayers, have also been quite dynamic in the way they deal with this. We've seen cases of delays. We've seen cases where these matters are shelved, or there's conspiracy between agencies to delay, and some remain parked in the courts or maybe parked at the tribunal for as long as we want. But the idea is just to make sure that, you know, these matters are settled. And it's in that regard that we've carried out, we've prepared an amendment in Parliament, which is now currently before Parliament, for expeditious settlement of all these cases. Because in whatever way, we rather would realize whatever is due to us, and then we get maximum compliance for all the affected. And I think I don't need to go really into the details of how we want to do it, but we want to do together. Ladies and gentlemen, the launch of Corporate Plan of Kenya Revenue Authority today is a very critical and important milestone for all of us. This plan has emphasis on revenue mobilization and improved service delivery through tax simplification, technology-driven compliance and expansion of the tax base. It will help the government attain revenue targets while building a sustainable tax base. At the same time, the plan targets to increase customer satisfaction, tax simplification, improved trade facilitation and dispute resolution, while reducing the overall cost of revenue administration and improving service quality. I think the representative of the private sector who spoke today, Mushai, spelled it very well. You know, now KRA also have nowhere to hide. They've told us they are going to do this, and we trust them. We've trusted them before. So I think you have some, you need to work extra hard so that you do not betray the trust that Treasury and the taxpayers have bestowed on you. If there are any challenges along the way, we must talk, we must say it, and we must look for ways, or we must prepare, defense in advance. So that now when we come for the 9th plan, we are going to question you on all those matters. And I am not sure whether you have sufficient answers to tell us. But if there are things that we need to facilitate you, we are always available. Ladies and gentlemen, through this corporate plan, KRA is expected to mobilize 6.8 trillion in tax revenue and raise the number of active taxpayers from the current 6.1 million to 8.2 million in the next 3 years. But my assumption actually should be more, because there are many Kenyans out there, particularly in the informal settlement, not informal sector, who are still struggling to find their bearing. Whether they pay much or whatever amount, it's really important you give them that opportunity to be with you and to be partners in our business. To further expand the tax base, KRA is expected to, 1, conduct an in-depth analysis of the informal sector to gain a deep understanding and revenue potential of this sector. You need to carry out good study by involving the critical stakeholders, engage them, and you will realize more because you'll understand more. 2, to increase compliance by high net worth individuals to promote equity in the society. 3, tax the digital economy, and that's a growing economy, at all levels. The experience of COVID has taught us a lot, that you can actually be as efficient without necessarily going to any office, without necessarily being physically there. You can still be transacting and realize more. This potential, there's a lot of potential here. And if you followed well, the chance of people evading tax is quite low, because those ICT, the automation, they always leave a trail. You can easily follow through the net. 4, strengthen strategic collaboration and partnership with other government agencies, business organizations, private sector, and SMEs, with the aim of collecting tax or levies on their behalf. I think that agency relationship is important. In order to strengthen compliance and enforcement, I want to believe that KRA is in the process of, 1, they need to, of course, they have told us they're going to simplify tax processes, forms, and technology links. 2, implement tax policy reforms to ensure stability and clarity of tax laws. 3, expedite the rollout of simplified online self-care services that will make it easy for stakeholders to comply, hence increasing customer satisfaction. During this corporate plan implementation period, we hope KRA will continue to implement tax policies alongside Treasury that support revenue growth. We should not be taxing the same people every other day. There is, I think, need to time to share the burden by bringing everybody on board, by working together, making it simple, and make the stakeholders critical to our planning. As you are aware, the level of tax expenditure in this country has been very worrying. And we've said it before, because, and unfortunately, sometimes we do not get that necessary cooperation from Parliament. Every single time, every finance bill, we've seen cases of either industries or certain targeted sectors being exempt, being zero-rated, while the rest of the burden is being pushed to only people who don't complain too much. This is not necessary. This is not fair. Because globally, tax expenditure is at an average of 3%, but ours is almost 6%, meaning we are giving out over 6% of GDP for various tax incentives. And when you weigh whether the benefit is actually passed to the customer, sometimes not, many times not. Whether this one reduces the cost of production, it maybe doesn't. We were really set to harmonize this. Of course, we find challenges along the way with Parliament, but we'll continue to aspire to a situation where we are going to reduce tax expenditure to bare minimum. So we rather now flatten and reduce taxes that affect everyone, whether it's VAT, whether it's income tax. We rather look at reducing that, rather than only giving one person or just one sector certain advantage that is only beneficial to one entity rather than to the rest of the Kenyan. This is what we are set about. And we are going to endeavor to finalize, to that effect, the national tax policy. That will not only enhance administrative efficiency of the tax system, but also provide consistency and certainty in tax legislation and management of tax expenditures. I've already indicated that how we intend to go about it in terms of reinforcing tax tribunal, because we do not have a situation where we can stay with one case for as long as either the committees want or those taxpayers want. There has to be a certain definite time period that the matter needs to be sorted out, agreed, or not, that may be dealt at other level. I wish to assure KRA confirm the support and the partnership with the National Treasury during this implementation period of the 8th Corporate Plan. As you pursue your goal of becoming a globally trusted revenue agency, facilitating tax and custom compliance. I do not want to really belabor this so much. You know, from where I sit in National Treasury, I engage all these agencies on a weekly basis, sometimes even on a daily basis. But the others, when we hear they're in the waiting room, we stand up for them like KRA. But the others, we can take weeks. It can take even weeks or months, or we don't even see them because we are not happy with them. Because when they come, we know they're coming to us for money. But when KRA is there, you know they're bringing us money. I think that's the difference. And we stand up for friends, and we stand up for people who are committed to the cause by making me efficient, by making government efficient. And I want to assure you of full support. Wherever you think we need to add value, please consult, and we'll walk along this journey together. I urge KRA staff to work diligently, and they have done it. That professionalism that you have shown, and you know, I think is one area that even when you see them out there, the staff, in whatever levels, at the lower level, at the middle level, at the high level, it's not flattery, but they, in a way, in my assessment, they stand out. That level of professionalism at all time. And we want to encourage you to continue working harder, because you are not only earning, but you also have a duty to your country. When one person or a home is independent, without begging from any other person, you are all dressing your own resources for your food, for your clothing, for even your entertainment. There is pride in it, and that's why you need to make us proud by doing your work diligently, but also with sense of patriotism. In conclusion, I wish to acknowledge and thank our many partners in this room and outside here, because you've enabled the preparation of this plan. You worked with us along this journey that has enabled us to realize that much needed socioeconomic growth. Kenya has made a lot of stride. If you get an opportunity to travel in the rural areas, you see the chance of you seeing infrastructure development under construction, whether roads, rehabilitation of railways, pipelines, new schools, new facilities. They have dotted every part of this country. And we want to thank our president for his focused leadership and, you know, sustained investment in this area. And to a great extent, we've been able to realize this from our own resources. Like now when you talk about a unique port like Lamu, where we've invested over 50 billion, there's no donor money, there's no borrowed money, it's entirely Kenyan money. Where we have done the port, we are now working on the road, and the whole of Eastern Kenya up to Ethiopia will be opened up. And those are opportunities not only for residents in those areas, but for every single Kenyan. And this can only happen if we now become masters of our own destiny, and that's the direction that we want to go. I want to assure you, our stakeholders, our taxpayers who are here, that we are ears and we listen. A number of concerns that you have raised, we've tried to internalize and address through our budget statements. A number of reforms that needs to be undertaken, including having a predictable tax policy that will enable investors not only invest for today when tomorrow is not clear, but we want to have a predictable tax policy over a period of time. We have listened to you, but we also want to engage you more so that now in carrying out that policy, we have your input fully incorporated. I think having said all those, I want to wish you well. I want to wish each of us well as we now set on this journey that the arrival period, the assessment period is after 3 years, and we want to come back and sit here, not to make speeches, but just now to go through item by item and give you a score. We not only want to hear from you, but we also want to hear from ourselves and the taxpayers. It's now my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to declare the 8th corporate plan for KRA and for the period 2021-2022 to 2023-24 officially launched. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Honorable CS. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for the Honorable CS. Just as we are upstanding, I would like to interest you, Honorable CS, and the other dignitaries here on stage to kindly step to the unveiling booth. Kindly step down to the unveiling booth where we are going to, yes, to the unveiling booth over there. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, thank you. Where you will unveil officially. This way, this way. You know, when your boss comes to your desk, it is only natural that you stand up. But for KRA, when they go to Treasury, Treasury stands up because of the exemplary performance. Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for KRA. Now, the 8th corporate plan is unveiled. Continue with the applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. KRA's 8th corporate plan for the next 3 years officially unveiled. Thank you, Honorable CS. I would now request you to kindly just line up here. The dignitaries on stage, kindly just line up here for, yes, for a photo moment. Thank you, Commissioner Omar, for joining. Yes, okay, just hold it up. Yes, that way, thank you. Lovely. As that goes on, all the other commissioners of KRA kindly step to the podium. Kindly step to the podium for another photo session with the chief guest. Commissioners and members of the KRA board, kindly step to the podium. Remember, the Honorable CS gave us many praises, but he didn't fall short of saying that KRA has nowhere to run to. So in three years' time, we'll be back here to score the performance. Commissioners and board members of KRA, thank you very much. Just step forward for a brief photo moment.
So if everybody can look forward, please. With the mask, yes, with the mask. Thank you.
Yes, kindly hold it up. Thank you. Hold it from the bottom so that you expose the ribbon. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may take your seats briefly as I invite Dr. David Kinu here on stage, Commissioner, Corporate Support Service Department. For the closing remarks and vote of thanks. Thank you very much. At this moment, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite the board, the chairman of the KRA board, Ambassador Dr. Francis Mudhaura, and the Commissioner General for KRA to present a small token of appreciation to our chief guest for sparing time out of your busy schedule to come. We don't know whether that is the money already. It looks like the briefcase. Beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, some round of applause. This surely looks like the money, but we shall find out. The CS has confirmed that it is heavier than the budget briefcase. Lovely. Kindly take your seats. Thank you very much. Dr. Kinu, Commissioner, please come.
Our chief guest, Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, Honorable Ambassador Okuli Atan, the Principal Secretary, National Treasury, our Chairman of the KRA Board, Ambassador Dr. Francis Mudhaura, KRA Board of Directors, our Commissioner General, Mr. Githi Mboru, distinguished taxpayers present, KRA staff, ladies and gentlemen. Today's launch of the 8th Corporate Plan has indeed marked a great milestone by Kenya Revenue Authority and the country as a whole. On behalf of management and staff, I thank our chief guest for accepting to officiate this function. I also thank the chair of the KRA board, the KRA board of directors, the Commissioner General, the KRA management, and the entire leadership for gracing this occasion also. May I also thank our staff, the primary actors in the implementation of this plan. Your involvement in this process is of immense value to the authority, and we appreciate you. KRA, we appreciate the valuable insight received from our various stakeholders and taxpayers, National Treasury, government agencies, our private sector, international partners, development agencies, civil society, media, other partners, and more importantly, our taxpayers, all who have played a key role in the development of this plan. Your views will positively guide our work in this 3-year journey. We remain alive as KRA of the mandate bestowed to us by the government and stakeholders, and through this plan, we therefore commit today to work towards achievement of our mandate. I thank you all for coming, and God bless you all. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Daktari. Thank you very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this event. And thank you very much for sparing time and for your patience. Stakeholders here present, please, you can, as we walk out, after the CS has walked out, you can pick your vouchers for some refreshment outside there before you depart. I would like to now ask us to be upstanding for the national anthem as we close, after which we will walk out in this order. The CS and the dignitaries here on stage will walk out first, then the rest of us will follow. The national anthem.
Iwe ngao na mlinzi, na tukae na udugu, amani na uhuru, raha tupate na ustawi.
Thank you very much. May we now take our leave. This way. Thank you so much for coming. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.